Hello, gorgeous. I am back today, and today I'm talking about how I went from being a nice girl and a people pleaser to being an absolute bish, and how that completely changed and transformed my life. Now, I'm gonna use the word bish in place of you know what, just because I want to respect YouTube's ad guidelines, but I think most of us know what I'm talking about and what I mean. So I come from the background of people pleasing and being a nice girl, which may be a surprise to a lot of people that maybe know me now, but I was a very massive people pleaser and I had a huge nice girl syndrome. And I was very confused because from my perspective, I was the nice girl. I was the one that like just went along with everything and just did things that other people wanted me to do, asking for permission. And yet, no matter how hard I worked at being a nice girl and people pleaser, I felt like people that I loved and I was around were always unhappy with me, never pleased, and it was just exhausting. And it harbored a lot of resentment on my part. And one of the biggest things that I think was a turning point in my life was when I got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. I think this was at this point about 13 years ago. I looked up like the spiritual meaning and energetic meaning behind manifesting this disease, and what the reason was that came up. This is actually in Louise Hay's book called "Heal Your Body, Heal Your Life." I believe it's called. It said resentment was one of the reasons that you can get rheumatoid arthritis, energetically speaking. And this was a huge kind of like aha moment for me because I definitely had a lot of resentment towards people that I had done things for. And I had to really look an honest look at my life and like reflect back on why was I so like keen on saying yes to everyone and giving people money and moving people into my home if they didn't have a place to live, and then like things not going right and then harboring resentment because of it. So the pattern that I had was I'm really nice, yes, 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 and then it like blows up and then like you're dead to me. So like there was like no in between, right? Either I'm like really overly nice and then it's like it's gonna end bad, right? And it's like really, really bad. And so when I started doing my inner work and really like getting at the core root of a lot of these issues, I realized that at my core, like who I was authentically was a very honest, straightforward, tell it like it is, blunt kind of a woman, right? And the kind of woman that most people in our society would call a bish, right? Like at my core, that's just who I am, right? But because of all these other things that had happened in my life, I was forced to wear this mask that kept me from being authentically honest and just upfront and being my goddess energy. So when I say the word bish, to me, that is just like a expression of my goddess energy. One of the big misconceptions I want to share before I share with you five kind of things of how I changed into more of my bish energy is that one of the big misconceptions around being a bish is that people think that you are being unkind. When I say being a bish, I do not mean being a bully. I do not mean being mean. In fact, I believe I am a kinder person now because I just tell people no the first time around, and I'm like very honest and upfront about my boundaries and what I'm okay with and what I'm not okay with. And because of that, I'm so much kinder because I'm not harboring resentment towards other people, right? Before I was acting nice, but I wanted people to like me. So there was a very manipulation aspect to it, right? Like I wasn't aware of this obviously, but it's quite manipulative when you're nice, right? When you're always apologizing for everything, when you're just like saying yes when you actually mean no, and then being resentful. So it was not creating a healthy relationship dynamic with the people around me. So you are more kinder, I believe, when you are just upfront and honest about who you are, what's okay, what's not okay, and just communicate it. So here's 5 points that I want to kind of share that really helped me transition fully into the bish energy that actually already existed with me Anyways, it was just more about allowing myself to use it. Number one principle, and you've heard me share this regarding goddess energy. So in goddess energy and BISH energy, we see everyone else as capable. Okay, so I'm capable and so are you. Okay, everyone is capable. The homeless person is capable, the child is capable of learning, right? Like my husband is capable, my friends are capable. And because everyone is fully capable of doing all the capable things that I'm capable of, that means that I'm not their mother, I'm not their keeper, I'm not their savior, I'm not their guardian angel, I'm not here to save anyone, pull anyone, right? I might decide to gift something, I might decide to share a tip, right? But it's not coming from the place of I know better than them and that they are not capable and that they won't be able to survive or live or be capable unless I like sacrifice myself and help them in some way, right? Or be out on my time, energy, and money and help them in some way. So there's a big difference, right? So I still am a very generous person. I like to donate time, energy, money, resources, all those things, but they always come from alignment now versus before it wasn't coming from alignment, and then I was resentful when I overgave and was overly nice and like my boundaries were pushed and all that stuff. Like none of that, we're not doing that anymore. So seeing everyone as capable is one of the biggest principles that really changed my life. And how this changed my life is that I gave people space and place and permission to show up for themselves and for me. And so because of that, I could be honest with someone saying, you know, actually that really doesn't work for me. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. And then trusting that they would figure it out themselves versus stepping in, helping them, being resentful, and then hurting that relationship in the long term anyways, right? So when I saw people as capable, I gave people space to show up. I could do a whole day's worth of training on just this one principle alone. And I'm actually teaching a lot of this stuff in depth on how to be a bish and how to transform your love life and your relationships and your life in general in my new course, which is starting on June 13th, called The Savage Feminine. I call it the Savage Feminine because a lot of people in my real life say I'm very savage, and so that's where the inspiration and name came from. But if I had another name for that course, it would be How to Be a Bish, because that's actually what I'm teaching you. And it is in kindness and in sacred service that more women step up in their goddess energy. And even if we are perceived as bishes, that's our power, okay? So number two is allowing people to decide for themselves. I believe that where I am in my life is a series of decisions that I've made, right? I wasn't handed stuff. I wasn't given things on a silver platter. You guys know my story and my history. I've had to make very tough decisions, even letting people go at certain times, going through heartbreak. Like I've gone through all that stuff, but I've had to make those decisions. And because I've had to make those decisions, I trust that other people also have the ability to make those decisions, and I do not make those decisions for them. So even in relationship, right, my husband has to decide that he wants to be with me and claim me and romance me. I do not have to chase him or convince him or like make him do any of these things. Because he's a grown man, fully capable, he gets to decide to do that, and I get to decide what kind of relationship I get to have and what I'm available for and not available for. So I think at the foundation of all this, as you're probably starting to hear, is a lot of boundaries, but most of these boundaries honestly were with myself. I had to make those decisions. Boundaries is such a decision focused thing. It's such a big decision in your life. We think other people are not holding our boundaries, but we actually haven't decided to have boundaries. That's usually the problem. Okay. Number three, thing that really activated and changed to have more bish energy is that I became very brutally honest and authentic about who I am and what my needs are and what works and what doesn't work. Now, of course, part of this is a living, breathing document. I'm learning more things about myself every single day, and I may go back and restructure that at times. But I just go ahead and let people know who I am and what I am and stop apologizing for it. This is a big one. I used to apologize for everything. I remember this one time I went to the mall with a new friend that I had made, and we were like gonna have lunch and do some shopping, and we went to go look at some purses or something like that. And I was looking at some wallets, and I asked for a certain particular kind of wallet, and the sales agent said that she didn't have it. And I ended up apologizing to her that she didn't have the item that I wanted. And my friend was like so shocked and taken aback by that, that when we went to lunch, she was like, why on earth were you apologizing to her for her not having the item that you wanted? Shouldn't she apologize to you, if anything, if anyone needs to apologize because she doesn't have your item? And I was so embarrassed in that moment, and like it was just kind of like a wake up call kind of a moment where I'm like, why was I apologizing to her? Like, that is so ridiculous. And then because of her pointing this out, I started noticing all the places in my life that I was unnecessarily apologizing for existing, for being who I am, right? And so I stopped doing that for with people. And at first people were really triggered because there were people in my life at this time that thought I should not shine so much, and not be so happy, and not be so positive, and not speak too much, and not wear these kind of clothing, and not wear this, right? So many rules. And I just started doing it. I started doing it even more, actually. I Whatever I wanted to do, I did it. I owned it. I was proud of it, even if people were triggered, even if people were mad. Like, who I get to be is who I get to be, right? Like, that's just who I am. And so I just started showing up. Previously, I would like change what I was gonna wear going to certain people's homes if it was gonna trigger them, right? How ridiculous is that, that I wasn't allowed to be who I was, right? And so some of these people eventually just couldn't stand who I was and how loud I was, or how shiny I was, or whatever, and they stopped hanging out with me, or we grew apart, and that was fine. I let the universe deselect, and when that space was created, new people that were more aligned and loved me for who I authentically am started filling those spaces. So that has been a huge life transformation for me, is that I only want the right people in my life. I want the wrong people for me to go find their right people. I wish them luck, I wish them love, and I send them looking for their tribe. Number 4 is saying no the first time around. First of all, I started noticing that I would always agree to doing, I have moved people into my home, and only to have them turn into huge problems and nightmares for me and my children and my family. And then I would like get myself stuck in this situation where I had to like help someone who was being kind of nasty or miserable or ungrateful, and then having to like manage and maneuver and like save that situation. And first, I just started noticing that my gut reaction was always to say yes. Okay. Second layer of this was that I would end up saying yes, catch myself, go back and say, I'm so sorry. I know I agreed to this, but I can't do it. I just can't do it. Why? I can't. Why? It doesn't work for me. Why? No, can't do it. Not happening, right? That was the second layer. The third layer, and the most important layer, was I started saying no the first time around. I started saying no the first time around. Meaning, when someone came to me, I would have some space because my natural tendency was to say yes, and I would simply say, you know what? Let me think that over and get back to you. And then I would think it over and get back to them with my honest answer the first time around. No sugarcoating it, no like, saying it in a more feminine way, like just saying, I can't. It doesn't work for me. And then letting them be capable and make the decisions that they need to make to figure it out, okay? Number 5 is unapologetically living my best life. I think this touches on all of them and kind of like puts it together, but for some reason, I have continuously in my life, maybe this has been one of my soul lessons, attracted people that are really triggered by me, triggered by my happiness, my positivity, the way that I dress, the way that I choose to live my life, the way that I just own that I love money and shopping and all the things, right? And for some reason that has showed up, and for some reason I have dimmed my light to try to like make those people like me. And I have just stopped caring. I honestly don't care who I trigger, but I came here on this planet to have a certain kind of life experience. I'm gonna live my best life. I'm going to have money. I'm gonna buy nice things. I love shopping. I married a provider. I am all the things that I am and I do. I break the rules. I create my own rules. I live life on my terms. And I just unapologetically own that. I am not going to live anything less than my best life. So those that are gonna be triggered, either gonna have to close their eyes, look the other way, plug their ears, or leave. But they're fully capable of figuring that out themselves, and that is not my problem. All of these things combined obviously can, make people think that I am being a bitch because I have boundaries and I don't want to light myself on fire every time someone's cold or lay down on the puddle so people don't get wet. That is not my job. It is not my responsibility, right? My job is to live my best life. That is it, right? So when I do say yes, when I do give, I do it because I want to. Because giving in that way is me living my best life. Not because I want to make someone else happy, or I want them to like me, or I want them to think what a nice little girl I am and how they're going to be pleased with me, right? So that is the biggest difference that has shifted my life. And let me tell you, my relationship has completely transformed. Even my marriage. Like, I used to be the good wife in the beginning of my marriage, and we had a lot of problems. And then I started being a bish and just saying it like it is, being very direct and forward, not even caring if it was feminine or not feminine, and just saying it. And my husband started worshiping the ground that I walk on, because the truth is that men love straightforward women with boundaries that just don't play games and just say it like it is, right? And so it's transformed my parenting, it's transformed my marriage, it's transformed my health, how I show up, what I'm allowed to wear, not wear, how much money, permission I give myself around money, what I'm allowed to buy, how I'm supposed to live, what I can say, how I can be. It's completely changed my life. And so let go of this misconception that being a bitch means that you're mean or that people aren't going to love you. They're actually going to love you more. The people that are meant to love you, they're going to love you more because you're now authentic and being honest, and you're not harboring resentment because of all your misfiring nice girl behavior. All right. So I'm going to go into great depth in this and teaching an entire 6-week course called the Savage Feminine. It's called the FU Guide to Life and Relationships. I'll see you guys in there. I love you. Bye.